So, do you guys send seller reports to your active listing sellers every week, telling them what their overall summary stats are on their listing? If you don't, you probably should. We've been doing it since I started in the business, and we send them every Thursday, every Wednesday or Thursday. And the reason we send them every Wednesday or Thursday is so if there's a price correction, recommendations, or just recommendations in general, they have time to decide whether or not they want to do it for Friday pricing. So back in the day when 2008 and 9, when I had 20, 30, 40 listings at a time, it was a full day affair. It was like I had a binder, I had all the stats, and every week I was asking for price corrections. And that's just the way that it was back then. Now, not so much. It's more of a strategic move, or it's based on data. So if my adage is, if you don't have 10 showings or an offer within the first 2 weeks of listing, you need a price correction. Now, it's not just any price correction. It has to make sense. So if we're listing a house at $750 and it has no showings and no offer, or less than 10 showings in 2 weeks, that just means that the house is not attractive enough for the price to draw the traffic in. And dropping it $5,000 is honestly, in my opinion, a complete waste of time. It's not going to be enough to bring the buyer back and be like, oh, they dropped it $5,000. No, in my opinion, a proper price correction, which should also be discussed at the listing appointment, so it shouldn't be sprung on the seller once you accept the listing at $750. But the next conversation is, all right, we gave it a go at $750, it didn't work. My suggestion is to get to $735. In some cases, $725. It just depends. If we've had some showings but not ample, I might suggest $735. If we've had zero, I would suggest $725. And that's just because I think it's a misconception. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a goat. That's just a dog. Never mind. I think there's a misconception between buyer expectations and seller expectations. What I mean by that is, if a buyer is pre-approved for $750, of course they're going to also look at the $725 house. And sometimes the seller says, well, they can just make me an offer. Okay, well, they're not most of the time, because it has to be attractive enough. So they also know that if you've just listed your house 2 weeks ago, they think in their minds, what are the odds of the seller accepting $25K below list? Well, then the seller might say, well, then you can tell them. No way, Jose. I'm not going to tell them that. You know why? Because what if the buyer was willing to pay $745 and I just called them and said, make us any offer? Guess what that looks like? Desperate. And we don't want to do that. So that's why it's always good to have the conversation about pricing at the listing appointment and then like throughout the relationship. And so we do that by sending a weekly summary report. We'll tell them how many showings they've had, what the feedback's been, any recommendations, any patterns that we see. But we also send them what has come on the market since we've listed, which honestly, I'm really surprised that not a lot of agents do that. Not a lot of agents do that. Once you list the house, do you just never send them anything else that comes on or off the market that is a competitor of theirs? You got to do that, because that's kind of part of our job. And I'm not fussing at you. I'm just being a mentor or an aunt to you. I'm being Aunt Jen to you right now. Because everybody deserves to take a listing and sell it. And they deserve to be, they deserve to have the best chance to sell it. So that's my opinion of the day.